UCF can win against UNC on Saturday, and their chances are better than good.
You are Locked On UCF, your daily podcast on the UCF Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome on in to Locked On UCF, your daily UCF podcast. I'm your host, Mike G. Thank you so much for making us your first listen of every single day. Turn us up, turn us on, we'll turn it out. I'm here on a Wednesday morning talking to you guys about UCF football. On today's show, we're going to talk about UCF beating UNC because I think that's what's going to happen on Saturday. We're going to talk about the belief that they can and that it's okay to believe that. And then why that belief doesn't have to mean you're delusional. But let's start at the top here, guys. UCF takes on Bill Belichick's North Carolina on Saturday. Later this week, we're going to bring Isaac Shade from Locked On Tar Heels on the show to break down UNC from their end. But let's talk about UCF. Results have been mixed to start the season, but I think there's reason for optimism here. Number one, UNC is just not as good as maybe even a lot of their fans hope that they would be. Guys, this is the dead last offense in the ACC through 3 games. Yes, they have played 3 games. They lost to TCU in a 48-14 scrubbing. If you watch that like I did, knowing that UCF was going to have UNC on the schedule, you probably were very interested in the results of that game. And it wasn't great for them. Look, UNC struggled to move the ball. Only 222 yards of total offense in that game that UNC have versus TCU. Now, if you're thinking TCU is a pretty good football team, you're probably right. They're not world beaters, but they definitely are a fairly decent team. Now, what does that mean in terms of the ACC? 279 yards per game. That is all UNC is averaging so far because they got some real problems on offense. And if you're UCF, you have to exploit those offense here. I think Scott Frost and Alex Grinch have what it takes to get it done. Only 837 yards total on the season for UNC through 3 games, including 2 cupcakes. I can't stress enough, there is such an opportunity here to start your season 3-0 when a lot of people thought that this UCF team might not even make a bowl game in Scott Frost's first year. Now you have a chance to be halfway there after 3 weeks. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do in this one. As I mentioned, this is not a very good offense. Part of the reason is because they lack quarterback play. Now, on yesterday's show, we talked about Gio Lopez, and Isaac Shade is going to go more into that. I don't want to give away that conversation. Him and I had some conversations about that. But look, man, Gio is not a world beater, and I'm being nice there. And if you're talking about which team has the advantage at QB, UCF or North Carolina, this is advantage UCF here. I'm telling you, Tayven Jackson is heads and tails a better quarterback than Gio Lopez. So when it comes down to it, if they can't move the ball, and I think that UNC defensive line is going to be able to get to Gio, I can't stress enough. UCF should win this game. They should absolutely win this game. Now, what does that look like? Well, you have to limit opportunities for this bad quarterback. Do not allow him to get into a rhythm. Run the football, sustain drives, keep him on the sideline, and then when he does get into the game, get after him. Get on his behind. Do not let him find any kind of rhythm here. So, look, Max Johnson and he kind of split reps in that game versus TCU. He took over as the starting quarterback for the subsequent 2 games, and it just has been a rough go for Gio, man. I don't know how else to say it. It's not great. So this could be a case of you just are flat better than UNC when it comes to the UCF defense versus what lack of threat they're going to pose to you on offense. Can't stress enough, guys. This is a game I expect UCF to win. And if you're Scott Frost, I would venture that you have to go out and get this game. What a great recruiting tool in year one, where a lot of people expected that you weren't going to be able to do much. If you can go out and you can beat Bill Belichick's squad, I think it gets you off to a great start. So this schedule is exactly what UCF needed in Scott Frost's first year. Start off with Jacksonville State, right? You get North Carolina A&T. You get a bye week to get it together. Maybe try to get a little bit healthy. We reported yesterday Cam Fancher has been cleared to practice. But I think that this is going to be Tayven Jackson's show, and this could be an opportunity for Tayven Jackson to really put a stranglehold on that starting QB job here at UCF. But look, as I mentioned, they have to get it done. Now, on defense, if you're looking at what North Carolina is, I'm telling you, I don't know that there's anything amazing going on there on defense as well, too. What is Tayven Jackson going to be up against? Well, as I mentioned, they've only played really TCU. They've had 2 cupcakes. They're allowing 337 yards per game. That's only 1,012 yards total allowed on the season. They can be gotten to. You know, I mean, through 3 games, you see those points per game allowed numbers for the defenses look super low. So anything up near the 20s after 3 weeks when you've only played 1 Power 5 team is not very good. You know, and you've got a North Carolina team allowing 19 points per game. I think against Alex Grinch's defense, they're going to struggle to get to 19. If you're UCF, you should be able to exceed that number. They didn't play their best game versus North Carolina A&T, not by a long shot. They still posted 68. I think that's a positive sign for UCF. You have to take advantage of the opportunities that are there. Gio Lopez is going to turn the football over in this game. And when he does, you've got to turn that into points. I think they can do it on Saturday. And I think it's okay if you're a UCF fan to believe that they can, because they will. I'm calling this game in favor of UCF. Now, I predicted wins of both of the first 2 games, although they didn't go as the way I thought they would go. I think the important thing is that UCF got out with the dub. Can they get out with a dub on Saturday? That's going to depend on their ability to be able to turn UNC over and simultaneously protect the football. If you're Tayven Jackson, keep the ball out of harm's way. Make smart decisions. Take your shots. He's got some guys who can go up and get the ball in that wide receiver room. They can do it. I'm telling you, they can do it. This is not an insurmountable task for UCF, but you've got to take the plays that are there. You cannot allow them to hope. You can't allow them to hope in your house. They need to come into the bounce house, and they need to fear the bounce, and they need to leave with an L. Is it okay to believe if you're a UCF fan? Well, we'll answer that question right after a quick word from our sponsors. This episode of Locked On UCF is brought to you by our friends at PrizePicks, the daily fantasy app where making the right call can actually pay off. You and I make decisions every day, but on PrizePicks, being right means cashing in with football back. PrizePicks is the simplest and fastest way to get in on the action. And just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player projections, and you can turn your takes into real prizes all in less than 60 seconds. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 off in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONCollege for $50 off in lineups after you play your first $5 play. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. A little bit of a different show today, guys. I'm going to plead to the UCF in you and say that it's okay to believe in UCF and Scott Frost in year one. I think they've shown us glimpses of what they can do. And once they start to get talent in more tailored to what they want to do, UCF's going to be okay. I think they're going to be okay. And it's okay to believe. Now, I picked this topic for a reason. I think it's important that in the beginnings of a rebuild of the program, that the positivity of the fan base stays high. Because that affects the way when fans are tight and the game is tight in the fourth quarter And they're sitting there thinking, oh, you know what? UCF's going to blow it. It affects how loud they cheer. It affects the environment that should be one of the toughest places to go play in college football. And it's got to be. You need every edge you can while Scott Frost is trying to rebuild this thing. So it's okay to believe in UCF. Now, fans, there was much ado about the season tickets and, in the preseason. And look, ultimately, I hope fans show up to the games because I really think Scott Frost is going to put a product on the field that UCF fans can be proud of. But there's going to be some bumps along the way. It's not going to be perfect. Right now, the debate at quarterback is a perfect example of some of the bumps along the road. You take what you can get. But if by the end of the season, Tayven Jackson or Cam Fancher or Jacurri Brown becomes a top third of the conference type quarterback, you'll know UCF is on the right track under this coach. That's why you hired him. It's why you let him go out and bring McKenzie Milton in. Development is key in the beginning. You got to out-develop your peers. Believe in the process. It's going to take time. It's not going to start with a playoff run. UCF, I don't think, has a chance to be an ASU this year and be voted last and come from the back of the pack to win the conference. But I've said time and time again on this show in the lead up to the season that I feel like they should be a bowl team. And I think with some competent coaching and some good schemes and a belief that they could win, you can absolutely get to 6 wins in year one. Beating UNC puts you halfway there after 3 weeks. Now, could the wheels fall off the wagon? Absolutely, it could. But if you're one of those negative Nancys in the comments after this video, I'm telling you, I'd rather be an iffy 3-0 than a terrible 1-2 at this point. Yes, UCF could be an iffy 3-0. Or maybe after this game, we start to see things come together a little bit because the team is feeling themselves. It wasn't a great game versus North Carolina A&T. They won it by 61. That is a sign that they could have this thing headed the right direction, even when it's not perfect. Opponents to be considered, I understand. They still won by 61. They didn't play with their food. They put North Carolina A&T away and never let them get hope. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see from UCF here on Saturday. Treat every opponent the same. Give North Carolina the North Carolina A&T treatment. I cannot stress enough there's such an opportunity here because North Carolina they're trying to figure some things out. I don't think they're going to have it figured out by Saturday. I can't wait for the segment with Isaac later this week when we break down this team. I'm going to show you guys there's good reason for hope in this one. And it's not going to look perfect, but dubs are better than a terrible looking dub is better than a fancy L. I want to see them win football games. You should too. And I think what it boils down to is that there are going to be some opportunities on this schedule as some of UCF's opponents appear to not be what we thought they were in the preseason. And UCF has a chance to not be what a lot of people thought they were going to be in the preseason. This is a lot of homer talk, but I'm telling you, there are foundational and fundamental reasons for hope. I'm telling you, I see the positive in this team. And look, guys, I've been covering UCF less than a year here, but I've got some sources inside the program, and I can tell you belief is high and it's strong, and the attitude is good within the program, and I think that can go a long way. I can. It can absolutely will you to some wins that nobody thought you would get. When the other team just shows up and you come, you show up and you show out. Saturday could be the start of something fun, man. 3-0 to start the season, beating North Carolina on your way to conference play. No one in the world is going to be picking UCF to beat Kansas State to open conference play. We're going to have our guy Christian from Locked On Wildcats on for that, that week. But I'm telling you, momentum is a dangerous thing if you let a team like what Scott Frost has on his hands get going. They could be dangerous come conference play. They could be the sneaky team that nobody wants to play. That's what we've got to hope for. That's absolutely what we have to hope for. I'm looking forward to seeing it because I think it's going to be fun. I think we're in for a fun season. I think UCF has an upset on the schedule. In a segment later this week, I'm going to talk about the most likely games, the most likely upsets on the schedule. I know you guys are looking forward to that one. But look, hope doesn't have to mean delusion. And we'll talk about what that delusion looks like right after a quick word from our sponsors. This episode of Locked On UCF is brought to you by our friends at Game Time. College football is back, and I couldn't be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands, there's just nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually getting tickets can feel more like a battle than the game itself. Endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping at checkout. No bueno. That's why we use Game Time here at Locked On UCF, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you get, and you can get panoramic seat view so you know exactly what it's going to look like when you get there. How good is my seat? Panoramic seat views will let you know. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. Belief in your team does not have to mean that you're delusional. Belief in your team, I'll say it again for the people in the back, does not have to mean that you're delusional. But that belief is important because everything that's said on social media, the sentiment that the fans project is absolutely felt by the team. Unfortunately, we're in an age where players read social media. Recruits read social media. They see how behind a team, a fan base is coming in. And if you're Scott Frost, you need positivity from the fan base on what he's building. That positivity doesn't make you delusional, though. I'm not sitting here telling you that UCF is going to make the college football playoff, but I am telling you that I think they have a chance, if this coach does the work and the players buy in, to be a little better than a lot of people think they're going to be. There's nothing delusional about that. As a matter of fact, that kind of faith is just what the doctor ordered in season 1 of a rebuild. Faith does not equal delusion. And that faith can really turn into something great here in year 1. Look, Scott Frost has faith in his players. Those players have faith in him. Fans need to have faith in their program. And I'm telling you, when they feel that, there's something about that energy that can produce something special here in year 1 and lay a foundation. When I talked to UCF quarterback commit Kane Archer, right, he's not committing to a winning football program. The only 3-star athlete to make Rivals preseason All-American list. I have a funny feeling that he's going to be a 4-star before the end of the year. He is having an absolute gangbusters senior season as we speak. But when he committed to UCF, he committed to a vision because he has faith in the coach. And the coach has faith in him. Those two guys, if they get together, their faith combined could equal something special for UCF a year from now, 2 years from now. If you're Scott Frost, you don't have results at UCF to sell. You have to sell hope. You have to sell a vision. And to see that vision, you got to have a little faith. You have to have trust. You have to have faith and trust that the thing that the coach is saying is going to happen will come to fruition if you do the work. So your belief in that process does not make you delusional. And don't let anybody on social media fool you into thinking that you're delusional for having a little faith. a little hope that UCF can improve week to week and go out and beat North Carolina on Saturday. Would I be shocked to see them lose? No. Would I be shocked to see them win? Also, no. I'm hearing enough good things I can't stress about this program that I have faith that they can go out and do something somewhat special on Saturday. That momentum headed into conference play is going to be super important for Scott Frost if you are to exceed expectations, because it could pay off in recruiting. And make no mistake, UCF has to catch up in recruiting. I know there are a lot of fans that hit the comment section. They're in group chats with me. They think, well, we don't have the money to keep up. It's not all about money. It wasn't about money for Kane Archer. That's why he committed to UCF. Now, if you produce results, the money could come. But if I'm a booster, I'm not giving my hard-earned money to a sinking ship. So don't sink the ship before they got a chance to get out of the dock. It's not delusional to hope. I think that right now, if you're Scott Frost, that's all you have to sell to these recruits. And you need those guys to commit so that you can build a solid foundation that is no longer based on solely hope. But the fact that you are fundamentally more talented than most teams you'll face. I cover multiple college football programs. I can tell you, every coach I've ever talked to says you need guys who can just go out and win their matchups. Yeah, we can call it. They tell me all the time, Mike, we can call the perfect play, but at the end of the day, we need guys who can just go out and win their matchups no matter what play is called. That means having more dogs than the other guy. Look what happened. If you watched Georgia-Tennessee this weekend, probably the best game of the day. I know Notre Dame, Texas A&M was a really good game. But, man, did recruiting show up on the road in Knoxville for Georgia. Those 1,000,000 stars, those guys never believed they're going to lose a game. And they came back and they won it. Tennessee had to come back to the field a little bit. They had to miss a kick in regulation to win it. But they gave themselves a shot, and they ended up getting the win because they just had more dogs, but they had a belief that they could win every single second they were down. If you're Scott Frost, you have to help give that hope to the fan base by winning some games nobody expects you to win. This is a results-driven business. UCF needs some results. Those results could start Saturday versus UNC. I can't wait to see it, guys. That's it for another great edition of Locked On UCF. Thank you so much for making us your first listen of every day. It's another big moment at Locked On. College football fans, Locked On and Fire TV present College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation along. Two-time AP Coach of the Year, Gary Patterson, former college star Jesse Holley, and Locked On's local experts, a college football preview only Locked On can do. Catch a College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season and only on Fire TV. Catch us here tomorrow on Locked On UCF.